What's up, agents? Zero here, welcome back to yet another Minecraft video, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can build yourself a house that uses the one block tall crawling mechanic. Now, I've already done a few tutorials on different things that you can go ahead and put into your one block tall house, and technically speaking, I've been wanting to actually do the house tutorial for quite a while. So this is what this video is actually going to go ahead and be about. So if you guys have not seen those videos, I will make sure to have all three of them down in the description for you guys to go ahead and check out. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and set up the area that we're actually going to live in. This is actually a 9 by 9 area, and if you're wondering about this, well, I actually did do a redstone tutorial on how you can actually go about making yourself a redstone entrance in order to actually use this crawling mechanic. Admittedly, this is not covered up, so you won't be able to crawl, but hopefully the point will get across. And this is how it works. You press this button, it's gonna open this trapdoor as well as dispense this water, and it's gonna pick it back up without an issue. And then to exit, you do the same thing on this side, except it only opens the trapdoor, does not dispense the water. I'm not gonna tell you guys how to go ahead and build this. I just have this set up right now. I have a full tutorial on this already, so you are gonna want to go ahead and check that out for yourself. And also, this is more of a guide than it is an actual tutorial, even though technically speaking I am showing you guys how to build it. But hopefully you guys will be able to make something interesting for yourself without too much of an issue. So the first thing that we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm actually gonna go ahead and make myself a little bit of a floor, and this is actually a technique that I use quite often. I need to make sure I find the right blocks that I normally use. Okay, there we go. Alright, so while I'm putting this together, something that I do want to go ahead and mention as I'm putting this together is that I have gotten a couple of comments on some of my previous crawling mechanic videos regarding the fact that this is actually a bug and not a feature, and I can kind of understand your reasoning. However, this is technically in the 1.13 betas, at least as of right now. So I do not know whether or not it actually legitimately is actually inside of the, if it's actually a bug. I don't know why I'm having issues trying to say that, but hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to get across. And because of the fact that we actually have this mechanic in Java Edition, leads me to believe that they're trying to import it at least in some way. So that's why I personally feel like this is actually an actual in-game mechanic rather than being a bug. Hopefully that makes some amount of sense. But yeah, just something I wanted to go ahead and at least briefly mention to you guys. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and finish off this floor, and then I will be right back. This should hopefully not take too terribly long. It's a pretty interesting little mechanic that I use for building my floors mainly. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, finish this really quick. Alright, so I'm placing in the final block right there. And this is actually what I have, at least for right now. And I actually did not mention this before I edited it out, and that's the fact that I put in these stairs right here. And the reason why I did this is because obviously if you're going to build yourself a house of any sort whatsoever, you are going to want at least some form of storage. So that's kind of the whole point why I did this. And also, if you're doing this in survival mode, what I actually recommend that you do is you build this before you actually make it so that you can crawl in it, because it's going to be a whole heck of a lot easier if you do it that way. Also, this is not like an automatic sorting system. I realize that there are a lot of people that really like to have automatic sorting systems. You can probably pretty easily set that up without too much of an issue, but I'm doing this just to make things go a little bit faster. And I think, did I grab? Yeah, I grabbed trap chest. Not that it really matters. It's still chests. We're not going to hook this up to redstone or anything, but yeah, so the reason why I'm doing it the way I am is because when you're actually crawling, then you'll be able to access these chests without too much of an issue. Technically speaking, you are going to be crawling, like I said, but you're going to be able to look down, straight forward, and up. Eventually, it's going to be allowing you to look up, and because then that way you can actually get to all of your items. One thing I do want to go ahead and mention is that if you're going to label all of your chests, obviously you're going to want to use either a sign or you're going to want to use an item frame depending on what you want. However, you cannot place them down while you're in a crawling state because you are unable to crouch. So you are going to need to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I mean. So I'm actually crouching right now. So as you can tell, if I go ahead and crouch down, yeah, I can go ahead and place these down without an issue. But if I were crawling, that would not be possible. Alright, so we got our storage system all set up. So what we're actually going to go ahead and do is we're going to set up a little bit of a stair system so that we can actually get to the upper floors without an issue, because that is something that we kind of might want to have. It's actually not complicated, all things considered. So I'm actually going to go ahead and set this up. And this is actually going to be a spiral staircase, just so you guys are aware. So it's actually not going to be like too terribly complicated to put together. But yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this together really quick. And I'll be back in just a quick moment. It's not going to take too terribly long. But hopefully you guys will get the idea that I'm trying to get across. Alright, that obviously did not take too terribly long. We've got our staircase all set up. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to go ahead and put in the actual ceiling portion of this. And I will go ahead and show you guys some things that I will want you guys to go ahead and at least attempt if you're going to go ahead and do something like this. The first one being the fact that you're going to actually want to go ahead and make it so that you can actually open these top chests, because that's obviously going to be important. So if I go ahead and set up these like this, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This way you will actually be able to open up your chests. So if I go ahead and just go all the way across, you guys probably already know this mechanic by now, I imagine. But for those of you who don't, well, this is just a little bit of a quick tutorial for you guys. So I just place all these stairs above these chests, and I can access inside of every single one of these without an issue. And obviously you can tell that there is exposed grass, at least in this particular world. If you're building it in a different survival world, you may have different terrain, obviously. But this is just to kind of showcase what you're going to do. But we're going to go ahead and, well, I'm going to go ahead and put together the rest of the actual house itself. And one thing I do, or at least this first floor, and I am actually going to go ahead and grab lanterns, because I'm going to use the lanterns in order to light this place up a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. Hopefully it shouldn't take too terribly long, but we'll soon find out. Okay, and apart from the actual rest of the staircase, the entire bottom floor should technically be done at this point. And also, this is going to be more of like, actually like the building process of this. I may potentially do like actual interior later, depending on how things go. But this is the whole basic idea. Obviously, as you can tell, I am crawling. And as I said before, I want to believe this is actually intended, because the crawling mechanic is technically implemented into Java Edition, it's not quite the same as it is in Bedrock, but that's why I believe this is actually an intended feature. But yeah, this is actually not too bad, all things considered. This is actually now I'm thinking about, I am going to go ahead and move these lanterns over by just one block. I'm going to need to go ahead and do that. But other than that, that should be absolutely everything done, at least for the first floor. But yeah, it's actually not too bad, like I said. So we're going to go ahead and first start off by getting the rest of the staircase completely finished. And the way that we're going to go ahead and go about doing this, if you guys did not see the video that I did where I actually make the actual staircase, well, this is going to be a little bit of a tip for you guys. So we effectively have a 1.5 block gap above each and every single one of these. So that's actually what you want to go ahead and make sure you do for this. So it's not complicated by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, you're literally just repeating this whole 1.5 block gap process for each and every part of your staircase. It doesn't even matter if it's a spiral staircase, actually. It can be just a regular staircase for all that really matters. And I want to believe that that is potentially good. I think that we're pretty much done. Alright, so what I'm going to go ahead and quickly do is I'm going to go ahead and block off the rest of the actual staircase itself, because hopefully I have everything in that front all completely done, because then that way you can't fall out. Hopefully that makes some amount of sense. But other than that, I think the actual staircase is done. Obviously, we're probably going to want to go ahead and set it up so that we can not, so that we can actually see, so that there's actually light. But other than that, I think we're done in that regard. So let's go ahead and test to see if this staircase is working as it should. So if I go ahead and come into here, I should be able to, yeah, I can go ahead and crawl right up the rest of these stairs without an issue. I think I can go ahead and, yeah. So this one at the very top can actually be a full block instead of a half a block. So that's at least good. So we have that done at least. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to fill in the floor for pretty much the entire top floor. And I'm going to go ahead and clean up the edges on the outside as well. So that's going to take a little bit of time, but it shouldn't be too terribly bad. Alright, so I am still technically working on the floor and the second floor, and something I want to go ahead and briefly mention is that you probably do notice that we have this gap down here. And technically speaking, the reason why I did this is obviously we have lanterns as the lights for the downstairs floor, and so I did need blocks to hang them off of. But also, if you guys decide that you're going to do something, well, maybe not necessarily the same as what I'm doing, but at least something along the lines where you want a different kind of floor on the second floor, you are immediately going to require this gap, because otherwise you're going to have this up here. And also, something I will go ahead and mention is that this is actually where the stairs are located in order to allow you to have access to the third layer of chests. So that is something that you're going to have to take into consideration. But if you're perfectly fine with having 2 rows of chests, or if you would rather just leave this as your floor for the second floor, then that's perfectly fine. And you guys already saw how easy it was to go ahead and put together the spiral staircase from the first floor to the second floor. So potentially, if you really wanted to, you could add additional floors if you really want to. This is just more of guidelines than anything. Hopefully that makes some amount of sense. And whether or not you actually do it in this particular spiral staircase or you add additional staircases, and again, it doesn't have to be spiral, then I say go for it, because obviously everyone's going to have a different building style to everyone else. You may try to copy what someone else is doing, which is perfectly fine, but everyone has their own personal building style. I'm not going to lie about that. Okay, I just figured I'd go ahead and mention it. I know there was a lot of things to say, but just wanted to mention it. But anyway, we're actually just about done with this floor for the second layer of our crawling house, and I think I probably mentioned this already, but I'm going to mention it again. Obviously, if you're going to be building this in survival mode, it's actually going to be a little bit easier to go ahead and put this together and then actually make it so that you can crawl into it, as I showed off. But other than that, this is pretty much exactly the same as before. And I actually have not put lights inside of the actual spiral staircase just yet. I'll do that in a few moments. But one thing I do want to go ahead and say is that if you want to go ahead and put some other stuff inside of this actual house, then you definitely can. One thing that I can put inside of here, and you guys can put in here as well, is actually an enchanting area, which I have actually done a tutorial on. So actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put one of those together really quick, because they're not complicated. And I'll make sure I have a link down in the description if you guys want to go ahead and build one of these for yourself. So yeah, give me a quick moment and I'm going to go ahead and get this put together. They're, like I said, they're not complicated to build. Alright, and so there we go, and this, technically speaking, would be the entrance where you're going to end up putting, okay, what I'm trying to say, so this is actually how you go down in there. This is also, again, a 1.5 block gap, and I'm pretty sure I should be able to get up to level 30 with this without too much of an issue. And immediately I am in creative mode, but that doesn't really matter. But yeah, I can get up to level 30 without an issue, like I said. But yeah, so there we go. We've got our enchanting station done. If you want, you could put down an anvil or maybe even a grindstone. It's really up to you what you want to do. And one final thing that I think is actually kind of cool to have is actually a little bit of a living space. And then, technically speaking, I do want to go ahead and mention for the record that if you actually want to have yourself a bed, unfortunately you cannot crawl, at least have a bed in a crawling space, because otherwise when you wake up you are going to end up suffocating, so that's definitely a downside. But I do actually have a little bit of an entrance that you can go ahead and build. I have actually not done a tutorial on this one just yet, but at the same time, I do believe this is actually a pretty smart system, all things considered. And also, the fact that we do have that gap below our floor is actually going to help us out in that regard. So it's actually not too bad. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, so here's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to place a pressure plate right there. And then I'm also going to go ahead and, actually before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to go ahead and put a block right there. And let's go ahead and place a block right there as well, because I actually am going to put a trapdoor right here. And this is actually going to be our little entrance into here. And so here's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Do I have redstone dust? No. Alright. So let's go ahead and get this redstone dust. And this one is actually going to need to be a full block. There we go. So if I put redstone dust down here, the block on top, there we go. And I do believe I'm going to need a block right here. Yep, there we go. Alright. So if I go ahead and come around to this side, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to place a block right there with a redstone torch right there. And then, hold on. I do believe from here, yeah, let me go ahead and get out a slab. Wrong slab. And I'm going to go ahead and place this right here. There we go. And from here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is get out a water bucket. I'm going to place down pressure plate right there. I'm going to place down a sign in 3 spots. And the reason why we're doing this is fairly simple. As I said at the start of the video, actually kind of what I showed off in the start of the video, technically speaking, is that you actually do need water in order to go ahead and do this. I don't think I mentioned this in this video now I'm thinking about, but if we go and stand this pressure plate, trapdoor is going to open, and then it's going to close right behind us. And then obviously we would open this up mainly in order to go ahead and get in without too much of an issue. So that's actually not too bad. And also, now that I'm actually thinking about it, could potentially add a little bit of an attic if you really want to. It's completely up to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of finish things up really quick. And then obviously there's not like a whole lot of decoration in here, but you can obviously change that without too much of an issue on your own. One thing that I have done is I've actually put together a tiny micro farm. Well, mainly not a micro farm, but one that you harvest manually. But yeah, I'm obviously getting off track, but let me go ahead and put together the remainder of this house. And then I'll show you guys what the final product looks like. It's actually not too terribly complicated, all things considered. And I am going to need a few other things. And I'm going to make a few other design changes as well. I think that goes without saying. And so here is the finished product. I added a little bit of a brick roof because, well, in survival mode, obviously, you're going to have thunderstorms at some point, and that's going to burn down the house if it's made out of wood. And admittedly, this doesn't have like a whole lot of decoration, either on the inside or the outside, and I'm 100% aware about that. But obviously, with this kind of build, you can add pretty much whatever it is you want. This is just the basic idea of how you put something like this together, and if you take a look at it, obviously it doesn't look like there's a lot of room inside of here, and technically speaking that is correct, but isn't because of how small it is. Because if you were to look at this and you didn't know this was meant for crawling, you would think there would be very little space just to walk around, but obviously that's not the point. So I'm going to give a quick show around as to what the inside looks like. Again, I didn't really decorate the inside all that much, but hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to get across. So down here we actually have ourselves our storage area, and apparently I put the stairs in the wrong orientation, but that's not hard to fix. There we go. So if I go ahead and click on this, yeah, we can go ahead and have access to our chests, and I'm not going to worry about fixing the rest of these, but hopefully you guys get the point. Over here, we actually have ourselves a little bit of an area. Maybe you want to set up some sort of smelting area. Maybe you want to put all your crafting blocks. Which, speaking of a smelting, you can't like have an automatic smelter. You can have automatic pickup system, but that's about it just because of the limited space. And I went ahead and put the lanterns in, as I said. So let's go ahead and climb up the stairs, or at least crawl up the stairs, technically speaking. And this is what the upstairs look like. Again, not really any decoration whatsoever, but we can go ahead and come down in here, get to our enchanting area. We can go ahead and open up this door and come through, and apparently there's that little underwater glitch that happens for whatever reason. But yeah, we've got ourselves our little bit of a bedroom in here. We can go to sleep if we really want to. And then when we want to leave, we just go ahead and sprint, go ahead and swim. And then we can go right through into here without an issue. And then obviously to get back down, just crawl back down the stairs, get outside, press the button. And there we go. And again, like I said, I'm going to say this one final time, but you can obviously add in extra things into this without too much of an issue. You are mainly limited to space because it's 1 block tall. But hopefully that shouldn't be too huge of a problem But other than that, this is actually where I'm going to end off this little tutorial. So again, I'm going to say this one final time for those of you who have been telling me that the whole crawling mechanic is actually a bug. Again, I don't think that's the actual case because the crawling mechanic is technically in Java Edition and they're apparently trying to import it into this version, and this is just the way that they're doing it. So yeah, just wanted to go ahead and mention that one final time before I end things off. But yeah, this is where I'm ending off this little video. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you did, make sure that like button. But more than make sure that subscribe button for future content. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at AgentCPU0 to stay updated. This has been Zero Stews. Thank you guys for watching, and with that, I'll see you guys later.